Hey guys, Dave, Backcountry Addicts. Let's talk about sleeping bags, quilts, and the cheap stuff, the expensive stuff today. What do you pick? Who knows? What we need to know, what kind of conditions are we going to sleep in? Is it summertime, warm conditions? Is it going to be cold conditions, early spring, or is it going to be 4 seasons where we're getting into the winter? Most people are not going to be using the winter stuff. So what kind of a range do we need to look at? Well, in the springtime, comfortably, our temperatures are going to be down around early May, let's say 0 to 5 degrees overnight, and a comfort level to sleep in that. We're going to need a sleeping bag or quilt that's going to be good for -6, -9 degrees, something like that. So I've got 3 options here on the table laid out for us to look at today. And what are they? Okay, here's our cheap no-name quilt for our sleeping bag quilt combination by Zubaleaves off of Amazon for $100. Incredibly light, packs down really small, barely holds anything in it, barely retains any heat, and it works terribly in cold conditions. Cheap and not effective. When I sleep in this, I've got to wear my puffy, my toque, my gloves, a sweater, pants, socks, everything. That's just to keep me warm with a good pad underneath me. What's the alternative to these cheap ones that ain't working? Well, we got 2 options. We can either go to a quilt or we can go to a sleeping bag, a mummy style sleeping bag. So here's an option here. Nemo's Disco. Not the best, but not the worst sleeping bag out there. It's a good bag if you're not carrying it a long ways. But for a backpacker, it's a tough go. This thing comes in at 4 pounds or something like that. I think it was 2.5 kilos. Now it does have expandable vents in it, which for me, you know, being a bigger guy, it helps. 6'4", 260 pounds inside this thing. I need the room, but very thick, very, very warm. When I sleep in this in the springtime, I don't need any clothes. It does have an extra protection on the feet for any moisture inside of a tent, touching the walls, and same with on the head. So those are some added benefits to it. But this is a -9 degree. It is very, very warm, but also very heavy. It's big, it's bulky, it doesn't pack down great in the packs. So those were my first 2. Where have I ended up and what's the winning package for me? Enlightened Equipment Revelation 650 or 750. I think I've got the heavier fill in it. And here's what they look like. This is a convertible. So I can zip this up. The bottoms would zip together here. All right, closing off effectively half of my sleeping bag. I've then got drawstrings to close off the foot box if I want. And then these straps run underneath your sleeping pad. So you've basically cut some weight out from a sleeping bag. We've cut the whole back half off of the sleeping bag for the majority of it. We can then turn this back into a blanket, or we can leave it as a sleeping bag. We've also got draft collars and pull strings to the top end to cinch up here if needed. You know, this thing with a good pad, I'm sweating, sleeping in my undies in 0 degree temperatures outside. By far the best thing to go to. It packs down this big in a compression bag and it lofts itself really well. I have no complaints. These bags have worked well for me, but hands down, this is the winner. If you're looking to get in the market, you're going to spend a little more money up front, but get yourself into a good quilt. The cheap stuff from Amazon just doesn't work. It doesn't have the heat. If you go on my tent after I use that Amazon stuff, it looks like I killed a chicken in there. There's feathers everywhere. If you get in there, into the market, into these Nemos, you're going to enjoy them, but you're going to pay for it. It's going to take up the whole half your pack if you're using a 60-liter pack, and it's just not enough. So it's got to get smaller, and those don't work for that reason. So if you're in the market, check out the Enlightened Equipment quilts. I find they work great to keep me warm, and they work in my pack too. Catch you next time.